Southwest Florida, welcome to another edition of Lee Pitts Live. I'm so excited that you joined us here this Sunday morning. We're here at Georgia's Designs in Fort Myers. She does some great work with her seamstress and tailoring and alteration. She makes anything. In fact, she makes all the clothes for Lee Pitts Live. You see that on television all the time. We'll get a chance to talk to her in the coming weeks here on Lee Pitts Live. We're so thrilled to have here in the studio today a candidate for District 19 U.S. Florida Congress, Cindy Banyai. She's a dynamic mom, and be sure to put doctor in front of her name. We'll get a chance to talk to her about her platform and some things that she's going to be doing if she's elected to the U.S. Congress for the state of Florida, District 19. The second part of our show, let's find out some things going on with the City of Fort Myers Community Redevelopment Agency, the CRA. All that's happening on Lee Pitts Live. We'll be right back. Southwest Florida, welcome back to Lee Pitts Live. So thrilled to get her in here. The candidate for District 19, Banyai. Welcome to Lee Pitts Live, Dr. Banyai.
Hi, thanks. So happy to be here.
Let's start off with, what do you have your doctorate in?
My doctorate is actually in Asia Pacific Studies. I got it in Japan. It was a continuation of my master's, which is International Public Administration. The
fact that you have that type of background, what does that enhance what you're doing now? Does it benefit you in some type of way to run for U.S. Congress at the federal level?
Yeah, absolutely. I've worked with more than 25 governments around the world, helping them to become more efficient and effective. My research was based on helping governments serve their communities better. I've published books and peer-reviewed articles on it, and now I get the opportunity to put that work into practice for the people of Southwest Florida.
What inspired you to want to run for U.S. Congress District 19?
Well, I've been here in Southwest Florida for the past 11 years, raising my family, building my business, helping nonprofits serve our community better. I did a lot of community research, write a lot of reports. I'm kind of a nerdy person. That's what I do. And I found that I would write these reports. I would tell the people I was with, I'm going to take your voice. I'm going to give it to leadership. So what you have to say matters just as much as anybody else. And I would write these reports and I would give it to leadership, and they would pat me on the head and say, thanks, not do anything about it. Mm-hmm. And I realized that if I wanted to continue to serve my community and be the voice of the people, they needed somebody that wanted to listen to them and act. And so I decided to run for U.S. Congress to be the servant leader people in Southwest Florida deserve.
You use that word, servant leader. What should we take from that when we hear that word, servant leader?
Well,
those two words.
Exactly. It's all about serving the people. It's not about me. It's not about putting money in my bank account, building my business. It's not about getting people that I know to be more famous or rich. It's about actually helping people in this community and designing policy that matters by listening to what people want. We know that people in Southwest Florida, they want to have better jobs, better houses. They don't want to be hungry. And these are things that happen every single day in our community. And we really need people that understand that and want to make things different.
People have been seeing a commercial that's been aired on Lee Pitts Live featuring you and some other celebrities. Let's take a look at that and we'll come back and talk about it. Let's take a look at this commercial.
Hi, my name is Dr. Cindy Banyai, candidate for Florida Congressional District 19.
I'm a mom, small business owner, and I'm fighting for our water, our health, and our community. I'm running to be the servant leader the people of Southwest Florida deserve. We need leaders who will listen to and work for the people, not the powerful.
Send Mama to Congress to fight for you. Check your voter registration and vote for me, Cindy Banyai, in the upcoming Democratic primary. I am Cindy Banyai, and I approve this message.
Now, looking at that commercial, outstanding job, by the way. It looks like we had 3 new stars that have been discovered there on television. Who are those 3 stars?
Yeah, those are my 3 kids, Ani, JT, and Evie. They are fantastic. I get the opportunity to be with them every single day now because we're doing virtual school, but they're so fantastic, and I'm so fortunate to be a mom and to help make our world a better place for them and all our kids.
We noticed that you said send mom to Congress. That mom label, you wear that as a badge of honor. That gives you an additional level of sensitivity as you aspire or become a politician?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Because my kids are my responsibility. A lot of people look and say, oh, you're just a mom. What makes you think that you can make a difference? What makes you think you can get out there and be with politicians? And I said, this is exactly why I need to be out there, because people need to listen to moms. We have a valuable insight. We know what's going on with our kids. We know what they need to be successful in their lives. And I think that there's a lot of moms out there, and there's not a lot of representation. There's not a lot of people doing things that make our lives better, that are thinking about our kids. And I want to be somebody who shows everybody that, look, moms can do it too. Yeah, we're busy. We got a lot of stuff going on, but we have a lot of stuff to say, and we're really looking out for the future of our own kids and the community.
When you're moving around in the community, shaking hands, kissing babies, and get familiar with various groups, when you talk to those women-oriented groups in particular, do you feel a sense of kinship, and do they feel a sense of kinship that you understand more things about how society should work than a person who's not a female?
You know, I absolutely think that when I talk to women and moms, they're waiting for someone to step up, to do what's right for them. And so they get excited. My whole campaign started with a group of moms. We're just going, we're so mad. We want things to be better. We want our environment to be taken care of. We want people in the community to have options to grow their family and their life, and we're not seeing it. And so that's how this whole thing started, with a bunch of moms and me standing up saying, all right, I think I can do this. And I got all the moms behind me, and they're ready to go.
When you're sitting here looking at the situation in the state of Florida or around the country as it relates to the pandemic, and you see how things are handled at the federal level, are you satisfied with the way things started off and the way they're being handled at the time that we're doing this interview?
Absolutely not. I'm not happy with our local leadership, our state leadership, or our national leadership. Public health experts around the world had been talking about this growing pandemic for months, and we dithered, and we didn't do what was right for people. And I understand we had to think about our economy, but this is really a matter of life and death, especially for people like my youngest Evie. This is not just playtime or who's it gonna, what are we gonna have to shut down today? These are real measures, and I think that we didn't take coordinated action soon enough. And now not only more people going to die, but we're gonna have a much larger economic impact because it's gonna take a lot longer to stabilize everything.
You are a Democrat?
I am a Democrat.
And I'm assuming you're a proud Democrat.
I'm a proud Democrat.
You are looking at this from a political, some of the things you just articulated. Are you looking at it from a political standpoint, or politics has nothing to do with your perspective of how things are being handled now?
Frankly, this is from a scientific perspective for me. Public health experts, like I said, around the world have been saying this is what we need to do. This is what we need to be prepared. They've been talking about how the United States has not been investing appropriately in prevention and preparedness for public health crises. And now here we are. And so for me, it's a policy decision and it's a science-based decision. And we didn't listen and do either one correctly.
Who do you blame for that right now? I mean, do you look at past administration? Do you look at the current administration? How do you, as a mom and a person who's looking out there at the landscape, how do you view this?
It's a pure lack of leadership, and it's a lot of blame game between parties on what's going on. But frankly, if we had a strong coordinated effort from the national level down to the state, down to the local, everybody saying this is a real thing, we have to pay attention to it, this is what needs to be done right now, and this is how we're going to move forward, we would be in a lot different position. We wouldn't be sitting here looking at another 30 days, from here where we have to stay home, whereas other states around the country are already having their peak and things are getting better. We're way behind here in the state of Florida.
One more question. Before people were taken off of the beaches, and we're still not quite clear whether people can be on the beaches, off the beaches, whether they can go to church or not go to church. There's so many different things here, particularly in the state of Florida, where you will be reigning as a District 19 representative. When you're looking at that, what are you saying to you? What are you saying, and what are some people saying to you?
Well, you're right. Exactly what you just said. It's a lack of clarity because there was a lack of leadership. People were not taking this serious long enough beforehand. We still don't know. Can you go golfing? Can we go to the beach? Can we go to this restaurant? I don't know. And it's not, but but this is what we're looking at right now is people not taking it serious. And because we've had so many weeks of people not taking it serious, it's going to be that much longer. And if we had leadership that said, this is what we need to do, this is what we need to do right now, and move forward from there, we would be in a lot better position. A lot fewer people will die, and we would not have such a long gap in our economy.
You made an emphasis on talking about our water quality, water in general here. When you say you are concerned about our water, unpack that for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Water is the unifying issue for us here in Southwest Florida. It's something that we don't get partisan about. Typically, everybody is concerned about it. The environmentalists care about it because we want to keep the environment safe, but it's a big part of our business. So for me, it really means making sure that we have an understanding of what's going on in our water system, red tide, blue-green algae. We have the right information. People are getting the right information out about it, and policymakers have the best data to be able to make policy to prevent it and also to come back when we do have economic disruptions like we did a couple years ago.
If you're elected to Congress, District 19, state of Florida, U.S. Congress, what do you see as your first two priorities?
The biggest issues for me are water and health. I think with what's going on right now, health has become just that much more of an important factor for us, where we're going to have to take serious consideration on how to prepare our public health system and our public health response, as well as to ensure affordable access to care to everybody, to make sure that we don't have another pandemic running wild like this anytime in the near future.
Now, when we see you and see your face, we see, this flawless face and everything. But people need to know when they see those boxing gloves, you a tough cookie, right? I mean, you took some punches. You're a trained boxer.
I absolutely could take a punch. I tell people that all the time. I said, you don't know yourself until you've been punched in the face. And that's a real thing, something I learned. So, your face is you, and it's all about you. And when somebody's coming at you and punching you in the face, you can either fall apart or push through. And I'll tell you what, I never fall apart. All the times I've been pushed and punched and pushed down, I never fall apart. And I bring that same tenacity to my work here, serving the people of Southwest Florida.
And people have seen photos that are flashed on the screen, and they saw that was you in the boxing ring there. I mean, and we see on your logo and on different things on your website where you have these boxing gloves. Does that drive that it took to be a boxer, all that type of work, does that help you right now in what you're doing in life, and you see that carrying forward as you make your way up to Washington, D.C.?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a fighter through and through. Always have been. I was, born to teen parents. I was never supposed to be anything. And if it wasn't for that drive to fight and push through and fight for what's right and fight for the people and fight for my family and fight for my community, I wouldn't be where I was I am today. And I absolutely take that. I'm going to take that fight for everything that is important to the people of Southwest Florida, all the way to the U.S. House of Representatives.
The Southwest Florida, how long have you been in this area, and what are some things that you really love about matriculating in Southwest Florida?
So I've been in Southwest Florida for the past 11 years. I chose to come here. I moved here right from Japan, right after I finished my PhD. My children were born here. I decided to raise my family here because it's a beautiful place and a lot of sunny people as well. And I really thought that this is an area that I wanted to invest my time in. And so I started working with nonprofits, and people here are so passionate about making their community a better place. And I used the skills that I had to help those organizations. So I've worked with hundreds of organizations across the state of Florida now, and across Southwest Florida, helping them serve their communities better, helping them to become more efficient and effective. And I know I could take not only that same passion, but those skills to have policy and programs that are more efficient and effective to our government.
You mentioned a couple of times that you work with nonprofits. You appear to be so proud of the fact that you did work with nonprofits, and you're still working with nonprofits. Let's just take a couple of nonprofits. What about your experiences there working with those nonprofits, you can name them if you want to, that you took away that says, hey, this is why I need to be in public policy. This is why I need to be able to influence things?
Well, there was a couple of things that I was really happy about in terms of my work. I worked with the Future Makers Coalition, helping that to spin up, and that's a cradle to career education initiative with hundreds of organizations across Southwest Florida, trying to make sure that our students aren't falling off the rails anywhere, that they can get all the way from into pre-K to out of a post-secondary degree and into a career that they can use to build their life with here in Southwest Florida. And it's amazing how many places students can fall off. Everything from equity gaps in high school graduation rates to a couple $100 in issues that can keep students from getting their post-secondary degree. And these are all solvable problems with policy and appropriate investments. And so that work was a piece that I was particularly proud of, coordinating with nonprofits around Southwest Florida.
And another nonprofit?
So I also worked helping to put together a pre-K program with the Quality of Life Center and the Dunbar Community School. That was taking a 2-generational approach, so helping parents and children work on their education and literacy skills together. That was a very great pilot program that we had, helping to increase the amount of pre-K slots that they had available. And it was a short program, but it actually helped lay the groundwork for future pre-K programs in the area. Quality
of Life Center, of course, located in the heart of the African-American community in Dunbar, largest African-American black population in Southwest Florida, which is part of your district. And a lot of Democrats dwell in the African-American community. Do you find yourself comfortable around minorities, and why?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm totally appreciative of all different kinds of people. I think something that I bring to the table that's very different than a lot of other people is that I've lived in other countries where I am not the dominant race, ethnicity. I know what it's like to live in a community where people don't speak your language or people act different than you. And what that has brought to me is a sense of compassion and empathy for people who live their lives differently. I don't judge other people by what they do in their life, but I want to learn. So I'm willing to interact with everybody and anybody and learn about their situation and then apply my talents to help them be what they want to be in their life.
Mm-hmm. Why should black people vote for Cindy Banyai?
Because I am probably the only person out there that will call out white people on systemic racism, and I've done it through my literature. I've done it through my work with the Future Makers Coalition. I've done it through my work with other nonprofits in the area. I actually brought to the district's attention through several reports that I wrote about the equity gaps in the high school graduation rate, how black students graduate only 65% of the time compared to white students who graduate 83% of the time, and helping to drive some of those conversations led by students about why this is, helping people to understand that racism is existing in our community and people don't want to acknowledge that, but I think that I'm somebody who talks about that quite frequently. I'm willing to have uncomfortable conversations. I'm willing to humble myself as a white person to understand and listen what it means to be somebody in the black community and to interact with our government systems here and to work to make it better for black people and for everyone in our community.
What's your thoughts about Joe Biden?
Joe Biden is likely to be our Democratic nominee. There were so many Democratic candidates here, and I will admit that my favorite did not make it through the primary yet. But I think what's really important is that we look and make sure that we have a leader that is going to be good for the American people when it comes down to the choices we have in November. So for me, if it's a choice between Donald Trump and any Democrat, I'm going to be voting for any Democrat.
Mm-hmm. When people go into the voting booth or when they get their absentee ballots, or I'll let you run that down to me, and they see your name on the ballot, what are they going to get if they vote for you?
Well, absolutely, people should vote for me in the Democratic primary coming up in August. And if you vote for me, what you get is a mom, somebody who understands what it's like, the real life here. I didn't just move to this community and decide, this is my retirement gig. I'm going to run for Congress. This will be fun. I'm not dumping all this, my trust fund in there. I don't even have anything like that. What you get when you vote for me is somebody who is unabashedly committed to the truth and to listening and to serving this community and who knows what it means to be a regular person here, driving down the road, taking care of your kids, going to the grocery store, and just trying to get by day to day.
You are great. You see your campaign as grassroots. When people go to your website, they can support you in various ways. Your website has been appearing on the screen, but go ahead and give your website and talk about why you see yourself as grassroots for the working class.
Absolutely. So my website is cindybanyai.com. That's CINDY, B as in boy, AN as in Nancy, YAI, and I spell it so you can vote. And also so you can go to my website and donate, and you can donate to me through ActBlue as well. But I'm a grassroots candidate because nobody selected me. Nobody said, hey, you should do this. I said, hey, me and these other moms, nobody's listening to us. Mm-hmm. We need somebody to step up. And who's going to do it? And I said, okay, I'll do it. And we all kind of ran forward with it. I'm grassroots because I don't have $500,000 like some of the Republicans in this race of my own money that I'm just throwing in for fun. I'm grassroots because every single day I got to meet people and convince them that I'm here to serve them and convince them that they should support me in that endeavor. And I do it, and I make phone calls, and I am out meeting people and telling my story and telling everybody that I am here for them, which is the truth.
When people say, how are you going to function? How are you going to run your campaign with the pandemic? Your boxing background, your stick-to-itness, your fight has not let this pandemic stop you from getting out there. Talk about that whole, how you shifted and how you're doing things, how people can communicate with you.
Yeah, absolutely. Luckily, I'm a millennial, so going digital was pretty simple and straightforward for me, and I also work virtually. So we have weekly virtual town hall meetings now that you can join us at. You can check that out on my Facebook page. We also have Facebook Friday Night Wine Time, which is a little bit tongue-in-cheek, where we're just talking about what's going on during the week. We have Coffee Corner in the morning, where we're reviewing current events, also on Facebook Live. I have a podcast, Dr. Cindy Speaks, that you can find on my website or any place that you view your podcast or listen to your podcast. These are ways that I'm helping to get the message out. And I'm also just generally on social media, writing blogs, writing op-eds, trying to talk about things that are important to the people in Florida, and making sure that we have our eye on democracy and the people moving through this pandemic.
Small, to not get too pandemic-ish right now, but in general, but we can't escape it when we talk about small businesses right now being impacted by the pandemic. And in general, before all of this happened, you were running for Congress before the pandemic became a household word. You had a passion about the importance of small businesses in our society. How does a politician impact small businesses?
Well, it goes back to policy. In Southwest Florida, 41% of our businesses here are small businesses. We don't have a lot of big guys. We got a handful of big guys and a whole lot of little guys. And we need to be really careful about that. And from a policy perspective, we need to make sure that we have investments and supports for those small businesses, especially in times like the pandemic, so they can continue their payroll, so they can continue to pay their rent on whatever space they have and get through this to live another day after the pandemic, because it's all these small businesses. If 91% of our businesses here in Southwest Florida folded because of the pandemic, we would have a whole nother economic crisis on our hands.
Mm-hmm. We'll have a depression. Mm-hmm. That's another story. Let's go to here locally with you. Should you become a U.S. Congressman for the state of Florida, Congresswoman, District 19, you will actually be traveling back and forth to Washington, D.C., right? Just kind of Sesame Street this for our viewers who may not be familiar with the role of a U.S. Congressman for a particular district, your district being Naples, Collier County, Lee County, along the shore. We'll break that down in a second. How you can impact certain things down here at the local level from D.C.
Yeah, absolutely. So District 19 is Cape Coral DeMarco Island, coastal Southwest Florida. So we have a lot of area and a lot of concerns around small businesses and the environment. For us here, though, Congress, U.S. House of Representatives, they do what's called a split session often. So House of Representatives are the closest representative to the people. That's what we're supposed to do. So session works for them Tuesday to Thursday. So that's when people are up in Washington, D.C., and they're doing their work on Capitol Hill. They're voting for bills, all that kind of stuff. But they only work those days because the idea is that they're spending the rest of the time back in their district talking to people and serving them. And that's exactly what my plan would be, is spend the time that I need to be in DC voting and coordinating on bills to help serve the people, and then come back here to listen to people in our district.
When you're moving around, meeting with community-based groups, and you're still open to that, assuming social distancing and all these things are taken care of, but what are some things before all of that happened? What are some key things that you are hearing from the people that may have actually surprised you? You say, I hadn't thought about that, but that's an important issue. Are you hearing things now?
So the thing that always surprised me when I'm listening to people around our district is how connected some of these issues are. None of these issues survive in a vacuum. Transportation is an issue that comes up all the time around our district, yet it's the least exciting thing to talk about. But it's like this: we don't have good roads, we don't have public transportation, people can't get to their jobs, they can't feed their family, right? So now you're rolling that into an economic issue, to a housing issue, to a food stability issue, to a childcare issue. And so if we don't have good access to transportation in our district, there's so many other things that can go wrong. And so that is why it's always been so important to me to think systemically, to look at the connections between all of these things, because somebody may tell you, I got a problem getting to work, but you have to understand all of the components that go into that.
You mentioned housing. I know I hear it all the time, affordable housing in this area. Is that a doable deal? Can we get affordable housing, and how does that take place?
We absolutely could, but we need some political will to do it. Right now, we basically have unbridled development at the highest luxury level, and that's great. Those are beautiful buildings. But what ends up happening to regular people? They get priced out of their areas, their houses and their rents go up. And where do people move from there? We're already seeing gentrification in certain areas around the city because there's some investment initiatives, right?
Which city?
Fort Myers.
Okay. Remember, we're talking
city.
to 6 counties right now.
That's right. So around Fort Myers, so people getting excited about some development areas, right? But I don't know if enough has been thought about the people who are already living there. So for me, again, it's a policy thing. We can absolutely make sure that there's affordable housing for people, but we have to make sure that there's the funding available to it, that there's incentives, and that we're coordinating with the developers to make sure that we're not displacing people when we're doing new developments. And when we are making any new builds, if there's an area or a space, to make sure that it's affordable for people as well. It can't only just be $1 million condos on the river.
Well, Cindy, we're going to get you back on the show in the future. I have enjoyed this first conversation with you, and good luck with your campaign. I want to give you 30 seconds to look into that camera and make your point about why people should vote for you.
So my name is Cindy Banyai. I'm a candidate for Congress. I'm a mom and small business owner, and I care about our water, our health, and our community. And I am here every single day fighting for the people of Southwest Florida to do what's right, not for the powerful, but for everybody that lives here, for our kids, our economy, and our democracy.
We'll be right back.
Lee Pitts Live is a Lee Pitts Enterprise production.
Hello, everybody. This is Lee Pitts, the host of the award-winning Lee Pitts Live here on Fox 4. We appreciate you watching our show here on our YouTube channel. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, clicking below. Let everybody else know that they can subscribe as well. Also, when we're on the air on Fox 4, you can also catch us streaming live at 8:30 a.m. in the morning on fox4now.com. Just click on live and you get us all types of ways at your convenience. That's Lee Pitts Live.